So a trans pastor started a church in the South. This is a really interesting piece by Now This. Watch.
I knew that God loved me long before I knew that I was trans. It is totally possible to be a person of faith and to be LGBTQ.
I thank you for your light. In Jesus' name, amen.
I was a senior in high school the year that I realized I was trans. Around the same time, I also felt this strong sense that I was called to pastor a church and specifically to start a church.
We have a lot of churches, but in a town of 70,000 people, there are only 2 affirming churches.
I've been in several churches where I've opened up to my pastor about that I'm gay, and it was a terrible experience.
Selfishly, it's important to me because I need a church where I can minister and where I can worship. As a trans person, as a queer person, there aren't a lot of places that are safe and inclusive for me.
I guess our motto is come as you are.
It's not just, yes, you're welcome here, we will love the sinner, hate the sin. You are welcome in this chapel, no matter what.
All right, so I have a lot to say about this. First of all, that ending there was beautiful. The idea of, yeah, listen, we're totally inclusive and you can come as you are. Just be who you are when you come here, and we'll accept you. That's great, and I mean, let's be honest, a lot of churches in the South do not abide by that. And in fact, they even said it in that little piece there. Like, there are 2, what they called affirming churches. I think that what that means is churches that are cool with LGBTQ people. So I think that's lovely. And I'm not a religious person, but to the extent that religion is still around, you would want people to be more tolerant and open-minded and open-hearted and accepting people as who they are as opposed to being judgmental nonstop. But that gets to the second point, which is, even though I think this is beautiful, religion is still dumb. Religion is still dumb because it's irrational. And you get the sense, so there's a longer piece, I watched the whole piece, and basically my takeaway from it is these are people who want that sense of community, want that sense of belonging. A lot of these people were raised in the church, so it's pretty much all they know, in that it's a normal part of their life. You go to the church on Sunday, you create friendships and relationships with the people who go to church with you, you're a community. But, I can't help but say, can't people develop that sense of community outside of the church? Because I think the answer to that is most definitely yes. Now, again, don't get me wrong. I think the reason why they're inclined in this direction is because they were raised in the church, so they feel like that's where you go for that community. That's where you go for that kinship, so that's where I want to go. Fair enough, and by all means, you can go ahead and do it. But that doesn't make Sky Wizards real, is the point. Because I really do believe that people can get that sense of community and can get that sense of belonging in a variety of different ways. If you're somebody who likes to play chess and you go to the park every Tuesday and Thursday, and at the park on Tuesday and Thursday, the same group of guys play chess every week, well, then you find a sense of community and belonging by doing that. If you're somebody who likes to play video games and you're part of a gaming community, you can get a sense of community that way. If you're somebody, I like to play golf and I like to play poker, you get a sense of community through those things by always engaging in them and having mutual interest with people. And so there's a way to have that community, have that kinship without necessarily buying into a whole list of metaphysical claims and, silly make-believe ideas, like somebody died and then rose up again and and all that stuff. But again, having said all that, and you guys know I'm not a religious person, which is why I would even bother to make these arguments. Bottom line is, as long as religion is going to be around, and I think it's going to be around, these are the kinds of religious people you want. You don't want those hardcore, fundamentalist, right-wing, judgmental, nonstop kind of people. You want people who are willing to accept everybody. And they even went on in this piece to say that a lot of atheists go to this church. Okay, so I guess people are getting that community through the church, even if they don't necessarily believe in the tenets of it, which is, again, kind of like the hallmark of a liberal, tolerant church, if you will. So, for the social good alone, I think it's a positive thing. I think that what they're doing here is a positive thing. Even though as a general rule, I just don't think religion makes sense. But they're certainly not hurting anybody, and they're certainly making the world a better place by being nice to each other. So, rock on.